If you want something done right, do it yourself. Or at least, get a Kickstarter to fund your project and then proceed to do it. There's been a number of games that have come out in the past several years by veterans of the industry. These fine folks have attempted to give us games we all thought we wanted, but most seem to have missed the mark of what made their original work so great. Mighty No. 9 was supposed to be the next Mega Man, but failed to capture any of the charm or fun the series is known for. Yooka-Laylee, meanwhile, was supposed to be the return of the Collectathon. A title that was bloated and repetitive was released instead, to the dismay of folks like myself who love a good 3D platformer. Enter Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. All the signs were on the wall. Beloved producer leaves a company that has bad blood with everyone, this time that company being Konami. Shatters the original goal set forth on Kickstarter, $5 million over the initial goal to be exact, and plans to release their game on every platform that can handle it. But Bloodstained is different. I loved what I played 2 years ago at E3, and have been highly anticipating it ever since. The team behind it seems to know exactly what made the Metroidvania genre work so well to start with, and that sort of quality has extended to the stretch goal from the initial Kickstarter, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. If Ritual of the Night is a continuation of the Metroidvania genre, then Curse of the Moon is the continuation of the original Castlevania. This is the type of game that is not ashamed of where it draws its inspiration from. To that end, Curse of the Moon is a game that is more than willing to adhere to most principles and limitations of games of the past, something that works both to the game's advantage and disadvantage. For instance, the game's sprite work takes after the old NES days of yore. The problem, as with most Nintendo Creates games, is that it doesn't quite commit to the technical limitations that the console had to endure. It's a nitpick, sure, but at times, Curse of the Moon's art direction feels less like a stylistic one, and instead a choice simply rooted in baseless nostalgia. That said, the game does capture a spooky tone all around, with plenty of ghosts and demons to tackle with various characters. Speaking of which, the character sprites all have distinct colors to stand out from one another, though their character portraits leave a bit to be desired. There's also a strangely large text box during the few cutscenes the game has, which never utilizes all the space, nor does it need to. Again, these are sort of nitpicks, but given how fantastic the Azure Gunvolt games look, I'd really like to see Nintendo Creates replicate that level of art in some of their other titles as well. And like the graphics, the sound consists largely of chiptunes of the familiar bleeps and bloops that came out of the original NES over 30 years ago. And personally, I can knock the art style, but can't knock a good chiptune, which Curse of the Moon has plenty of. The soundtrack is threatening, constant danger looming with each increasingly dangerous location. But like the original Castlevanias, it's there to get you amped to whip the hell out of some evil spirits and mow down the game's huge bosses. The biggest comparison one can make to Curse of the Moon is Castlevania 3. You've got different characters that all have various reasons for joining one another, with unique attributes and reasons to play and switch between them. To that end, Curse of the Moon is quite good at slowly doling out the characters you gain and showing off their movesets and rewarding you for using them. Just like the original Castlevania, Curse of the Moon can be punishingly difficult. Most of the difficulty is due to the clever level design and challenging bosses, all of which require players to switch between characters to determine the best way to tackle each obstacle. There's two issues with the gameplay, however, that creep towards being more frustrating than formidable. The first is the knockback. Yes, it's a classic video game punishment for taking damage, especially in Castlevania, but it really sucks when an enemy you can't hit at the right moment knocks you into a pit and costs you a character. See, that's the second and bigger issue, the way lives work. Curse of the Moon features two difficulties, Veteran and Casual. Casual mode is just that, no real worries about lives. Veteran, however, does have lives, and although you won't typically need to worry about running out, what gets irritating is in later levels, it's quite clear that certain characters are almost required to progress, especially once you've reached certain areas of a stage. Backtracking typically isn't an option, as doors will stay shut once you've entered through. Instead of losing a life each time you die, you simply lose that character. Each member of your team has their own health meter, making switching between them, say during a boss fight, a must to stay alive. This also helps prevent using a single party member as a crutch the entire time, as their health and the amount of damage they take is also different. While that might sound nice, getting to keep playing once you've lost a member, the truth is, it's kind of annoying. There's times where you may lose someone you need, and since lives aren't exactly hard to come by, you'll find yourself just throwing the remaining member or two in a pit so you can start over from a checkpoint. In all honesty, I kinda wish this is how casual mode worked, and veteran mode was where one death equals a life. The way this system works manages to make the game easier, but more cumbersome as a result. Curse of the Moon features several different modes, of which have to be unlocked from subsequent playthroughs. These change the game and story enough to warrant going through again, namely that you'll have access to characters you didn't prior, and thus opening up new passages and areas to explore. There's a lot of hidden secrets and areas stowed away in Curse of the Moon, giving a high level of replayability to an otherwise fairly short title. The main campaign takes around 2 hours to finish, as do the other modes, but exploring Curse of the Moon is quite rewarding, as is finding all the health, magic attack, and defense unlockables. The interchangeable characters alone make it worth playing through. I personally love Miriam, who wields a whip and plays the most like the original Castlevania. That alone makes me want to run through this game again and again. It's addictive and the short length works to its advantage, where you can see everything and play every mode without it feeling like a chore. And you'll want to too. There's multiple endings to see, which, at least I think, sets up the bigger title, Ritual of the Night. Curse of the Moon is another great budget title from Infinity Creates, who keeps knocking these little games out of the park. It may have a few missteps here and there, but ultimately, if you love yourself some classic demon-slaying action, especially where Dracula's dropped a curse of his own, then Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is for you. Now where's a Belmont when you really need one?